We don't do that here.
Welcome back to the Ultimate Fucking Casual. Who is that? That's me. I'm Leo. I don't know much about MMA. I'm joined by my good buddies Chief and Nathan, who do know a fairly good amount about MMA. All right. So first things first, Chief. You've been away. I don't know if you saw, but the World Task Force for bringing back Brock. Did you find our senior correspondent?
He's around somewhere. He's in a weird mood at the moment. Like he's doing a lot of sleeping. He's molting a lot. So yeah.
Coming back from captivity, he'll do that.
Yeah, my wife's home now as well, so he's going and being her husband for that next thing.
Oh man. Okay, so I've been holding this one, and I was waiting for you to come back for this. I watched finally the movie Devil's Advocate. Have you seen it?
I have not.
Oh, so the only reason I bring it up, there's a sequence in there where Al Pacino's character takes the Keanu Reeves' character to a Roy Jones fight. It was the fight was against Bryant Brannon, and that was October 4th, 1996.
Oh, that means it'll have been super middleweight, right? I think.
Yeah, that's super middleweight. It was the IBF title.
Yeah.
Man, that guy was like ubiquitous. He had his claws into pop culture. That's pretty wild. That it wasn't a staged event. Like they actually went and recorded at the fight. That's pretty crazy.
Oh, that is super cool.
Yeah.
It's what they've done with the MMA movie that Jake Gyllenhaal's in. One of the recent UFC events, they did the weigh-in, and then they filmed Jake Gyllenhaal doing like a fake weigh-in at a UFC event, and then on fight night, they had him like walk to the cage with the crowd there, and like go in the cage and like go through the motions and do some stuff. So it was a weird parallel that we're getting the same sort of experience there with the MMA.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Film that's coming out.
Was it the first Ocean's 11 movie that had like a staged
Lennox Lewis?
Lennox Lewis and what's his face? The brother of it was Vitaly. Yeah, it was Vitaly Klitschko. And like the lights go off at a certain point, and then they start like in the middle of the ring.
Oh yeah, the corners jump in and they all start brawling. In the commotion or whatever. But yeah, that was pretty cool. I thought that was cool. I thought you'd appreciate that, Chief. You should check. And it's a great movie. I definitely recommend checking it out. Okay. But onto a bit of MMA news. Francis Ngannou signs to PFL. Did you guys? I only saw the headline that he did. Do you guys have any word on like how many fights? Contracted guarantees per fight, that kind of information?
His contract is wild. Like I don't know if it specifies how many fights, but he has got like a stake in the company now.
Wow.
And he's got guaranteed there's like guaranteed pay for him and all of his opponents or something like that.
So
yeah, he's got everything he basically was asking for from like the UFC.
Damn. So Ngannou gets a stake in PFL, and PFL is going to be buying Bellator. It looks like they're going to be acquiring Bellator. Man.
So I've got the details in front of me now. It's only for 2 or 3 fights. I know one of these they're going to allow him to do boxing. So if he ends up getting a fight with like Fury or somebody like that, they're going to be okay with it. He's guaranteed a high 7-figure purse for each fight. He's going to get a split of the event's net profits, a signing bonus or salary to serve as a brand ambassador for PFL, the right to have his own sponsors in the cage, I mentioned the boxing stuff, no champions clause or other extensions, and then like we said before, a minimum salary possibly as high as $1 million for his opponent. I am very surprised they suggest this. I mean, did you see the Dana's post-fight interview at the weekend? Either of you?
Yeah, where he was kind of throwing shade.
He was asked about this. Yeah, he was asked about this, and he shared at Ngannou, but then he was saying that the PFL basically there's no like legitimacy to their business and what money they have, and them buying Bellator is going to be an extremely sketchy bit of business indeed. But maybe it's Dana just being a hair, you know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would take his word at face value. I'm sure there's some truth to it, but I don't know if I wouldn't trust him like with anything.
Do you mean about what he said about the Floyd fight?
Yeah, I made that shit happen. Like, are you fucking kidding me, bro?
Floyd never got paid before
Floyd.
He met Dana White. He was broke before then.
Yeah, that scrappy no names fighter from Grand Rapids. All right. Anything more on Ngannou to PFL before we head off to our recaps?
They're going to lose money on him, I'm pretty sure, because do they even do pay-per-view PFL?
They're going to start.
I don't think they do they?
They probably
they're going to start.
I bet they will.
They're going to start with Jake Paul.
Is Ngannou a big enough name to attract them? Because what the UFC has is that everybody thinks that it's the premier MMA promotion, so they know they'll tune in to that to see, in air quotes, the quality content. I've watched very few PFL events. Is his name big enough to attract 200, 300, 400,000? Yeah, exactly. Can he bring in the pay-per-view buys? I don't think so.
I'm not so sure, especially when you have what are perceived to be like second, third, fourth tier opponents. I'm not sure that's going to sell very well.
That's a good point. Who's he going to fight?
Well,
who's the PFL got?
Maybe that's a good thing for PFL because Ngannou's a guaranteed highlight reel that they can sell. Like, it may take one or two fights for the hype to come back, but there's no one in PFL or Bellator, I think, that could survive more than a round with Ngannou. So he could go on a 4 or 5, 6 fight streak of just knocking guys out in the first round. I think people would tune into that, especially if they kind of absorb Bellator and get that side of the market. Now, they're not going to like jump up and be a real UFC competitor, but I could see them pulling like top ranked boxing numbers, and maybe that's enough to like maybe they can establish themselves like they're staying afloat. They're not just bleeding revenue.
So on that about Ngannou possibly going on like a stretch of highlight KOs, it makes me think that opponent purse guarantee is like, hey, you're gonna get fucked up by this guy, so here's a lot of money. This guy is going to take your fucking head off, so here you go.
He's going to be a can crusher. That's what it is, right?
Yeah, right.
Who's he? They're saying about they're not going to give him any exclusive clauses where he can't go do boxing. The only fight I see really happening is the Fury fight, and that's because Fury doesn't want to box a live body or somebody he can beat. I don't see Wilder or AJ fighting him. Usyk's not going to fight him either. So, who's he going to fight from the boxing side? Are we thinking something like
Derek Chisora?
Chisora.
Fucking Del Boy.
Yeah. Dillian White. That could happen.
Yeah, there was also some talk, like on the grapevine, about Tyson Fury and Ngannou's like teams or whatever starting negotiations or opening negotiations. So like we expected this. We've been talking about it for like 3 or 4 episodes now. Fuck Tyson Fury, number one, but
oh man, I didn't get to say it. I'm a mistake. But yeah, you're right. That was a while ago, and we know Fury is going to ask for. What was he demanding from Usyk? Was it 70-30? It was, wasn't it? What's it going to be with Ngannou? Because he's definitely not going to give him. Yeah, exactly. That's probably what it'll be. That's how delusional Fury is.
70-30 would still be like 30% of a Fury fight could be more than Ngannou's entire UFC winning.
Yeah, that's what I was
so
just
he
going
may
to say.
Yes to that.
I was gonna say that 90-10, that 10 might be more than Ngannou's made ever.
It's the whole thing about leaving that he was pushing to get paid fairly, and all these other things. So, is he going to take just 10 million? Because the UFC offered him something like 6 or 7 million a fight if he was champion. Well, that's what's been leaked anyway. So he said no to that. I don't think Ngannou would say yes to 10 million to fight Fury. Definitely not.
7 million if he's champion, though. Which I don't know. With the likes of John Jones hanging around, how long is he going to be able to hold on to a belt if he were to get it?
It's funny you mention John Jones because they're talking about him fighting Fury as well.
Yeah, I saw that today. Jesus Christ. Oh my, what the fuck is happening?
That's just Dana being Dana, though. There's no chance that fight ever gets made.
Yeah, we're having like a banner year in both sports. So I don't see why we're going to be... But there's no need to cross-pollinate right now. It's like case of emergency.
Banner year in both sports. I don't know if we're going to talk about this episode, but that weekend in July, UFC 291 and fucking Spence.
I meant to add that to the end. We'll get to that at the end, so we can see how much time we got.
Thank God. Thank God, because I want to talk about that forever.
That is quite the weekend.
It is.
And 5 days before it is Inoue and Fulton.
So that's a solid midweek teaser right there.
That's an appetizer, isn't it?
It is, yeah, that's the appetizer. The nibbles, the super bantam nibbles. All right, let's get into the recaps real quick so that we can press on and we can finally talk about July 29th. All right, Friday, May 12th, since we last convened, that was a Bellator card in Paris. I didn't watch it. It looked like pretty mid guys. They just had like French dudes in the headlines, and I believe they both lost. French combat sports is in the bin, so whatever. Fabian Edwards and Brent Primus get decisions over Gerard Mousasi and
Gerhard, yeah.
And Mansour Barnoy. That one was bad. But yeah, that's a middleweight fight, lightweight fight, respectively. Rest in Paris. All right. On the 13th was a UFC fight night. This was on location in North Carolina, which was pretty cool. And you guys told me like this is usually when they have like good sort of caliber fighters, not like prospects.
So the fight nights, they tend to be like sort of your mid-tier, maybe like middle of the rankings, or like guys trying to crack the rankings, versus an Apex where you'd see primarily unranked guys and maybe a fight at the top that is a ranked card.
All right.
That's sort of the tiers of the fight night versus an Apex.
I'm just going to list off the results real quick. Alex Morono, submission in 2 over Tim Means. Carlos Ulberg, KO1 over Ihor Potieria. That one, they said it a lot. Ian Gary, KO1 over Daniel Rodriguez. Wait, do I have that backwards?
No, Ian Gary won.
Okay.
It's worth just a mention on Gary. I know we're flying through, but he's sort of trying to cultivate this like McGregor-esque following and energy.
Yeah,
like
he was playing the Irish card.
Yeah. I don't know how much more legs he's got. I don't even know if he's ranked yet, but he's quite similar to Paddy Pimblett. I think he's better than Paddy, but I don't think he's going to go very far up the rankings. He's definitely not going to be champ.
He actually just cracked the top 15. He's ranked 13 after that win.
Yeah, I was going to say he wasn't ranked before, but I'm sure he is now. Okay, Johnny Walker, who was ranked 7th, gets a UD over Anthony Smith. And Jolton Almeida gets a submission in the first versus Rosenstruck person. All right, let's start at the bottom. I thought this one was pretty cool. Submissions are always fun. Like as I'm getting to learn more about MMA, specifically like groundwork, submission wins are getting to be more fun for me. But are these guys? Is Alex Morono going to be a player at welterweight? Can he be a player at welterweight?
Well, Tim Means is like, he should be in the nursing home already. He's that old and he's been going that long. Morono subbing him isn't that surprising. it doesn't really tell us a lot about Morono because Tim Means is just that bad and that old.
Oh, jeez.
Maybe one to watch, but he's not pulling up any trees by submitting Tim Means in the second round.
Okay, let's move it along here. Carlos Ulberg. Oh, what's that?
Someone who, yeah, I was about to say, let's move it along to someone who might be uprooting some trees. Carlos Ulberg. So he obviously got the KO in round 1, and this guy, he made his UFC debut a couple fights ago, and he looks good. Like, I know light heavyweight has got some killers on top of it, but I watched his only loss. He got knocked out in the second round by, I can't pronounce his name, but he got knocked out by a guy. And we'll just say that
guy person.
Yeah, stand-in generic UFC fighter, and you could tell then his cardio was just not super there. Like, he was just no defense, but he looked like a different. He seems like he's improved that as he's gotten a couple more fights under his belt, and just going off the eye test. I mean, that check left hook that he landed to kind of spell the end here, that was impressive. I mean, obviously, I'm not sure if he's earned a ranking off of that. He's probably still got a ways to go before you could even put him in the same category as the likes of like AP or Jan or Jamal Hill. But I would keep an eye on this guy. I don't know, Chief, have you seen any of his fights before?
Yeah, a little bit. He fights out of City Kickboxing, so he's the same gym as Adesanya, Volkanovski, those guys. The only problem for him is he's 32 years old already. I suppose he's in a division where they do go a bit older, you know, like heavyweight and heavyweight. He's got a chance to. He has got quite a bit of a career to go ahead of him, but it's going to be. He's not ranked. He's probably going to need, like you said, another fight to get ranked. Does he trouble the top 5? I don't know. Probably not. But he, like you said, that check left up was beautiful to watch. It's going to be fun watching him slice through guys until he gets a ranking and he gets up there.
So, how he looked versus how Johnny Walker looked, I'm trying to remember which one of you told me like that Johnny Walker just question mark kind
of. Both of us.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry I set your expectations for that fight. I think in the last episode I said he's the guy who either gets some stellar knockout or he gets knocked out in stellar fashion.
Yeah, that's right.
Neither option.
Yep. Neither one. Holy shit, Johnny Walker. How does Ulberg hang with like rank 7 Johnny Walker?
Oh, against that Walker, I think anyone with a pulse beats the hell out of him. That was not a very good fight. Walker versus Smith. I don't know if I'm ready to say Ulberg would beat him, but I mean, give him a couple fights. I don't think Walker has much of anything to give this division. He looked washed, in my opinion.
He's been knocked out brutally a few times already. Like, yeah, I think you're right. I think he's coming to the downward slope of his career. I think any chance of a belt that he had is probably 2 or 3 fights behind him. Anthony Smith is a solid guy, but not knocking him out when you're a huge guy like Walker and you've got power, it's not looking good.
So, should we get Johnny Walker in touch with Bare Knuckle FC? That's typically where they're going to go. Yeah, that's typically where they go, right?
He probably will end up there.
Him and Tim Means can go together.
He's definitely got the Bare Knuckle vibe.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he fights like a fucking ape. He looks ridiculous.
He does. I told you, he's insane.
All right, do we want to touch on Ian Gary a little more? The wannabe Conor McGregor here.
I mean, he got a KO in the first. It's
not a whole lot to take.
That's that, but I think it continues the hype, doesn't it? It keeps on building. You get early knockouts, and I mean, Danny Rodriguez he's no killer, but I just think with somebody like Gary, I think there's a lot of weight on him to be as good as McGregor, or just in the same ballpark. And I'm not sure how much further he'll carry that. I'm really not.
I will say this in his favor. I think his hype train will continue at least for a couple more fights, because he's got some older guys that are ahead of him that I think he'd have a good chance of winning. So like, Vicente Luque, he's definitely starting to go over the hill. Stephen Thompson, he's getting pretty old. There's a chance that he could move up the rankings into that top 10 and maybe keep this going a little bit longer. But he's got a murderer's row ahead of him. So I don't know. We're just gonna have to see what he can improve on his game.
Can you imagine if he does knock out Wonderboy Thompson? That'd be huge for his hype, I think, because Thompson's known as this elite striker, isn't he? And Gary's got a kickboxing style as well. That's probably the fight to make next. I know Thompson's fighting on the July 29th card, but I would want to see that. Actually, that would tell us more about how far he can go from a pure striking perspective as well.
It's really unfortunate that he's going to be. People can't help it, because being Irish, they're going to compare him to McGregor. Can't not do it. It's going to happen. But just from what I see of Conor McGregor outside of his, hype building antics, he really, really shows up for Irish combat athletes. He was at the Katie Taylor card.
I've been thinking that his character and sort of larger than life antics were just down to proper 12 and cocaine for the last couple of years, but given the way he's so passionate about fighting, you can see that bare knuckle event he went to where he told Alvarez to throw the uppercut and then Alvarez does and he lands it. I think you're right, he shows up for Irish guys, but I think just in general he's just a huge fight fan.
That should be more of a mentor-mentee relationship than it is trying to make them rivals or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way he showed up I know he sponsored the event with Katie Taylor, but you could see him at the end on ringside. He was absolutely gutted when it was read out and she got beat.
Yeah, he shows up for the Conlon brothers when the other one used to fight as well, but he goes to the Conlon brother fights. He's always there for Irish athletes. It's pretty cool to see that. All right, heavyweight submission in 1. They didn't seem like they were very good. At least that's what I gathered. So I'm not sure what to take away from this.
So Almeida is, I guess, this kind of crop of light heavyweights that are moving up to heavyweight and realizing that extra weight really isn't a problem when you're fighting someone who's not very skilled, like Jair Rozenstruik, or at least is very limited. I don't think Rozenstruik can do anything besides punch slowly at this point in his career. So Almeida, I don't know, he's hard to... With how shallow the heavyweights have been in terms of grappling and stuff like that in recent years, you could see Almeida maybe making a little bit of noise. But, this was reminiscent of the Jones-Gone fight where Rozenstruik had no answer for his submission game or his grappling game.
Anything more on this card, the 13th?
No, not from me.
All right, at the Apex on the 20th was another Fight Night card. This one was headlined by Mackenzie Dern, and from what I read before, that fight was supposed to be on the 13th, but it got bumped for reasons. I didn't see why, but nonetheless. Mackenzie Dern gets a UD over Angela Hill. Mackenzie ranked 8th in the strawweight division. Anthony Hernandez KO 3. I keep wanting to say Loopy. They were saying it was Lopi. Lopi Godinez gets the UD over Emily Ducote. Joaquin Buckley gets KO2 over Andre Fiallo and Diego. They said
Pereira.
This. Yeah,
Pereira.
They said they were the way that they were saying it on the broadcast was very different from that. So I don't know what's reality anymore. Gets the KO2 over Michael Johnson. Strawweights. Is there a whole lot going on here? Because in boxing, nobody gives a shit about strawweight. Most people don't even know it exists.
Well, strawweight's like probably the good division
for women
in women's MMA. Yeah, that's where Rose and Zhang and Carla Esparza are.
Okay.
Joanna as well was. Yeah, one of the best fights. Some of the best fights I've ever seen in the UFC have been a female strawweight. Like Zhang versus Joanna. The way Joanna looked at the end of that fight. Joanna versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz as well. That was a good one. Yeah, it's a solid division.
But let's continue. Okay, the only fight that I recall was the Joaquin Buckley fight, which was pretty fun. Like he looked a lot. I think they said he's from Brooklyn, and he definitely had that Mike Tyson style of moving when he's trying to set up his striking. The lead rear kick it looked kind of awkward. It didn't, like, he was trying to use that to set things up, and it really wasn't working for the longest time. But other than that, I can't recall too much about the rest of the card.
I kind of want to talk real quick. Do you remember anything from the Ferreira and Johnson fight?
Not
that had well, first it had a really great knockout. It was like the guy was out on his feet before he even hit the ground.
I remember.
But this was
knockout,
also
yeah.
So right before that, this is one of the cool things I like about them continuing the Apex fights, is like you can hear the coaches yelling the instructions, and you can hear it like clearly on the mic. Whereas in a normal fight, it's just drowned out by crowd noise, and you could hear Ferreira's coach telling him, "Quit kicking him. He's trying to counter you. You need to get back to the jab." And he does that, and he uses the jab to kind of set up his knockout punch, and it's all like coached like to him, and he does what his coach tells him and gets the knockout. That was just for me a real cool moment, and why I still really like these Apex fights. You get moments like that, and it's like, oh, that's how they kind of game plan and
coaching in real time. The bubble fights in like at the end of 2020 that boxing had similar situation. Like you could hear the coaches the entire time. I appreciate that a lot too. I think, Chief, this is the one you said you're not too familiar with, right?
Yeah, I've not seen this one yet.
All right. So then, do we press on?
We shall.
All right, we're pressing on. Okay, so prediction points stand thus: Nathan at 15, and Chief has pulled ahead at 17. So we only have one card to preview before we'll convene again, and that is the June 3rd Fight Night card. It's not this one. Which day is it? It's June 24th. That's when my wifey is fighting again. It's Macy Barber.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm just a mark. That's all I am.
Did you not like Mackenzie Dern? Is she not wifey as well?
Something about them being able to kick my ass like at a moment's notice just makes them all great. All right. The June 3rd card. We got to get predictions. Stop me if there's one you want to highlight. So Jamie Mullarkey versus Guram. Last name. I think he's from Georgia. This is a lightweight bout.
No, I'm not familiar with either of them two, sadly. Nathan, have you got anything?
Mullarkey's
slang for bullshit, isn't it?
Familiar. I believe he got knocked out in his last fight. Oh no, he beat Michael Johnson by decision in his last fight. He's okay. He's been around a while. He's got a 16-5 record. I'm not so much familiar with his opponent. Crazy last name though, so kind of like that. This guy looks like a killer too. Oh, this guy looks like a killer. I'm picking him. I'm picking this guy by KO. Just write that down now.
All right, Nathan by KO.
Right. I need to. You say looks like a killer. Oh yeah.
He's killed a man before.
Oh, yeah. That man's gone to war before. Yeah, 100%.
Let me send you this.
Holy shit. Yeah, this guy has seen it all, man. Yeah, he was there when they invented Sambo. So you guys both taking Kutateladze?
No, do you know what? To be different, I'll go with Mullarkey. Need to give Nathan a chance to catch up, don't I?
So merciful. Is this going to be a decision?
Yes.
All right. Karine Silva versus Ketlin Souza. This is a flyweight fight. Anything going on here?
Oh, God, this is a tough card for me. I don't know about you. This is just going to be a guess on who's going to win. I'm going to go with... Well, I was just about to say I'm going to go with Souza because she sounds Brazilian, but Silva's probably Brazilian as well.
They're both Brazilian.
Yeah, I'll go with Souza.
I'll go with Silva just because Souza doesn't have a picture on ESPN.
That's who I remember that. Yeah, no photo. I remember that when I was looking this up. All right, Tim Elliott, ranked 11th in flyweight versus Victor Altamirano.
What weight class is this?
Flyweight.
Elliott.
I'm going to go Victor because Tim Elliott's been around a long time and he's quite weathered.
I'll take the old fella, Elliott. He won his last fight again on the Covington Masvidal card. But this is a total guess too. I really don't know anything about his opponent.
Okay, lightweight. Jim Miller versus Ludovic Klein.
Miller's an old head, isn't he? He's been around a while.
He's another one, yeah. This makes me lean towards Klein, but do you know what? I'll take Miller. Sorry, Leo. I know you just typed it, but I'll take Miller. Take Miller, sorry.
Ludovic Klein. I guess I'll be different and take him. I don't know anything about... Oh, his nickname is Mr. Highlight? Oh, yeah. I'm going with him.
Kutatalad's face. I can't... he's, staring into my soul from my computer screen.
He's going to be on you sleep paralysis demon.
Yeah! That's actually, a good description of what he looks like.
Yeah.
If you ever have kids and they say, oh, there's a monster in the closet, this is what's looking at them. All right, featherweights.
Yeah, the picture you just show them, it's you want to see a real monster, kids? Here's this.
All right, featherweights. Alex Caceres, ranked 15th versus Daniel Pineda.
This is the makings of, a mauling. Pineda has not fought really since 2020. Yikes. Actually, that's a lie. He's fought earlier in March. That was his first fight
in 3 years
since 2020. Yeah, basically.
Wow.
It won by submission. But Alex Caceres, he's solid, is he not?
Yeah, he is.
Solid enough to break into the rankings.
This is a tough one.
It's a real tough.
Yeah.
I'll go Caceres. He's been way more active.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna go Pineda. It's just boring when we pick the same guy.
Flyweights. This is the main event.
Kai Kara Francis for me, please.
Yeah, you've let Nathan have the first pick for the last couple.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, and then Amir Albazi.
So do I have to take this Amir guy even though he's gonna get throttled?
You don't have to.
Okay, then I'm hitching my wagon to France as well then.
All right. So is this Kai Kara France going to save France's combat sports reputation? Could it be done?
I think he's a New Zealander.
Yeah, I think so.
I think, or Australian. Yeah, he's another city kickboxing.
What a curse, man! What a curse! You're not even from France, but you're named after that fucking shithole.
And now, Albazi's going to fucking murder you, just because the weight of France's failures is on your shoulders. All right, well that's it for our previews. I want to say that they skipped a weekend, but that's it for the previews. Okay, now a little bit of outro. Hold on, let me see how we're doing on time here. Not bad, 40 minutes. All right, so Volkanovski versus Rodriguez is set. This is everyone's favorite thing about UFC. When there's an interim champion, he immediately gets set up to fight the champion when they're back from doing whatever. So Volkanovski, he just lost to Islam. Is that his most recent fight?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I saw that. And I haven't seen Rodriguez fight, but Mexico is making waves right now in MMA. At least there's a couple ladies doing it anyway. And Mexico is just putting British boxing into the dumpster and setting it on fire.
Where it belongs.
Yeah. So it really seems like the Aztec warrior spirit is coming up there. Is that enough to hang with a guy like Volkanovski?
Oh, Yair can definitely catch him with one of his wild techniques, but Volk's just such a beast, man. And I think we've seen him jump up a level with that Islam fight. It's really difficult for me to say that Yair is going to win that fight. I think Volk definitely wins that fight. Maybe it probably goes to the decision as well. He probably gives Yair a bad beating for 5 rounds.
Damn, just that.
That's a pretty big statement.
Yeah,
I was kind of thinking that. I think Volk showed just a different level to his game coming up to fight Islam and performing the way he did. But I do think just going from you're fighting this ultra dominant wrestler to fighting an ultra dominant striker, I think that's going to be an interesting flip. Now, he did do that when he went from Holloway to Islam, but I do think having to totally switch gears, I think initially that's going to give Yair an advantage where, especially he's a guy who starts pretty fast. I think he's going to throw a lot of unorthodox stuff at him that'll keep him on his toes in the first 2 rounds. I think Volk ultimately will win, and I think he may just sweep the last 2 or 3 rounds, but I think early on this fight's kind of on a knife's edge. I think Yair is going to throw the kitchen sink at him, and it's going to give Volk a lot of pause.
Try to blitz
initially.
him.
Yeah, maybe Volk is quite cautious with reading feints and committing to big sort of, the way he rushed Islam quite a bit in the fight, didn't he? I don't think we'll see him do that with Yair. I think we'll see him be a lot more measured. Probably won't bite on feints. Keep it very sort of close for like the first couple of rounds. I was just going to say it and hope Yair gasses, but I've never seen Yair go 5 rounds, I don't think, so I'm not sure what his gas tank's like.
Yeah, and if he's trying to get him out early, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, he tries to get him out early to avoid having to show his gas tank, and then it ends up being more shallow than anyone realized or anyone expected.
Yeah.
Well, so I don't remember the specifics of this fight, but he fought Holloway, and that went to decision. I do remember the last couple rounds of that fight really swinging into Holloway's favor. So I think that might rear its head again. He doesn't go the decision often. He KOs most of his guys within the first 3 rounds.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a Mike Tyson thing? Like, after round 4, his KO percentage drops like 90%, something like that. And
Yeah.
in fact, loses
That's crazy.
most of his distance fights. Yeah, but seems like a kind of similar situation where things don't. The longer it goes, the worse it gets for Yair if he doesn't get him out early.
Now, I don't know if you could ever count him out completely, though, because he did have that crazy, absolute last-second KO that he threw against Korean Zombie. He elbowed him with like a second left and won. Nice. But that was like Zombie almost like threw the fight. Like, I have no clue what he was doing. He just had to back up and he would have won.
This is set for July. Is this the July 29th?
No,
that's like July 7th.
Okay, just making sure I'm not off my gourd here.
Oh man, if I was on the July 29th card, I don't know if I could handle it. That'd be too much.
I'd have to Steve Buscemi myself so I could watch both. Let's get so this is something that happened in the boxing realm on the 13th. It was a 140-pound fight. Fucking loudmouth Rolando Romero is fighting absolute no-name Ismael Barroso. This was for like an interim title. So Barroso was the number 1 contender for ages and ages and ages. And the champion pisses hot, so he's, trying to contest the rulings or whatever. So Rolly Barroso, this interim title winner, fights the Puello when he gets back. Barroso's like, he's 40 years old, which is fucking old in pretty much any sport, except maybe like golf or something. But he looks like he's 65. You know what I mean? The guy looks super fucking old. He even has like old man sort of slouch and like barrel chest. But he just proceeds to beat the shit out of Rolly, the young fucking brash run his mouth upstart gets a spanking from Papa. And for some fucking reason, I want to say round 7.
It was round 9. Excuse me.
Raleigh hits Barroso like once. Barroso's he's very clearly he's aware, he's throwing back. He's still in it. He's not in danger, he's not hurt, and don't need but Tony Weeks, who is typically a really good referee, steps in and stops it, pulls Barroso out of the fight. Raleigh wins. That was pretty upsetting for me. Just to see that. Tony Weeks, you either die the hero or live long enough to be a fucking asshole. and like Barroso being 40, being from Venezuela, think like the economic situation there isn't very good. So this was like life-changing for him, and it could have been so much better if he had been allowed to continue, because he would have fucking won.
You could have. Usually when there's a stoppage, even if it's a controversial one, the guy's hanging on. The guy who gets called off, he's hanging on. At no point do you look at the footage of the stoppage and say, wow,
Barroso's in trouble.
It was a good job. Yeah, it's a good job the referee saved him. Like, none of the shots that, if you look at it,
he didn't land anything.
None of the shots that really... Doesn't Barroso land a shot in the sequence as well?
Yeah, he does.
That makes it even worse. It's got to be corrupt, right? Surely.
Yeah.
Surely.
It's genuinely the worst stoppage I've ever seen in that title fight.
I mean, low level, like the club kids have shitty stoppages all the time, but in the title fight, like, yeah, Jesus, man, like, you fucking robbed this guy, legitimately. And shitty ref decisions like that. A lot of times I've seen the referees stick around to like justify themselves. Like Tony Weeks dipped immediately. He was out of there because he didn't want to have to answer for his crimes.
It's funny because obviously the Haney Loma fight, and there was a lot of talk about robbery.
Oh,
I mean,
bullshit.
that thing was that you can maybe say that. Oh yeah, that one judge that gives Haney the 10th round.
Moretti, Dave Moretti.
Yeah, Moretti. But compared to the Raleigh fight, it's not even slightly, questionable, is it? I mean, Haney won that fight. Wasn't a robbery. Were some of the scoring a bit sus? Yeah. Look at that Tony Weeks stoppage, and you have to say to yourself, like, he's been told that the first possible opportunity, you stop the fight in favour of Raleigh.
The secret ingredient is crime.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it looked like. Like the Lomachenko situation, the one bad card.
When there's stuff like this,
that's the one that, like, because of that, people are overcorrecting and saying it's a complete robbery, which is this, like a Canelo Triple G won, like 118, 110. Nobody in their right fucking mind saw that. But everyone had to overcorrect and say that a draw is a fucking robbery, when it isn't. It was a reasonable conclusion. Same with Lomachenko. Like, Haney winning is a reasonable conclusion. 7-5. That's not out of this world. But yeah, Rolly Barroso. That
if you think 7-5 Haney's reasonable, then one extra round for Haney may not be accurate, but it's not like egregiously bad. Yeah, exactly.
I personally had it a draw, but like, what, my score doesn't fucking matter anyway. Still, anyone saying robbery, like, really have to reevaluate your life. I thought I was a fucking miscreant.
People overuse the word, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
People overuse that word so badly, and the amount of legitimate robberies is very low. Like, there's a lot of fights that are close, but legitimate robberies, it's very few. Like you say, Triple G, Canelo won, yes, and Rolly Barroso. God, that felt like it was a robbery from Barroso, wasn't it?
It was. It absolutely was. Man, about overusing, like, it dilutes the power of the word robbery, or like another one that I'd like to that I try to refrain from using is super fight, because it's like not every fight is a super fight. Like just because it's like Haney Kambosos, for the undisputed titles. That's not a super fight. It absolutely is not. Haney Lomachenko, that's a super fight.
If you have 4 super fights a year, you either have the greatest year in boxing ever, or you need to change your definition of a super fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on our way this year. I mean,
that being said, we might actually get 4 super fights this year.
Yeah, I think 23 is making a run for that. Reclaim the power of the super fight by actually delivering them.
Yeah.
Are there any MMA examples of a referee stepping in when they absolutely did not need to?
There's more examples of referees jumping in too late, or there's been a few Herb Dean ones where he makes it look like he's going to jump in and stop the fight, and then he sort of does, lets it go on for a bit longer, and then he actually does. There's been a few of them. There's a famous guy, a referee, Mario Yamasaki. Dana used to hate this guy. Basically, he was known for letting fights go on way too long. Like, they used to have like sayings about him that like he was, giving like sacrifices to the gods and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Like, that would be the thing that I would say.
Letting guys be warriors in air quotes, and it's... he doesn't ref anymore, not in the UFC anyway. He probably still refs in other organisations.
He's going to referee the Ngannou fights at PFL.
Oh, no.
Like
Could you imagine?
These poor like dad bods with day jobs are going to be thrown into a cage with Ngannou, and yeah, his expression was like, I have seriously fucked up by electing to do this. That's gonna happen to every.
He's not even gonna have. They're gonna have that expression for maybe half a second, and then they're gonna be out and on their back, and they're gonna eat about 4 more hammer fists before Mario jumps in and
before he considers jumping in, let alone.
He'll probably get close. He'll inch closer.
Well, his arms were twitching, so I thought he was trying to defend himself.
Do you know now you say it? There's a lot of examples of ones where referees have thought that guys have gone out because their arm goes limp, but they haven't actually tapped. Like there's been a few of them, hasn't there?
The Ben Askren and Robbie Lawler fight.
Robbie Lawler one. Yeah.
Probably the most famous example in recent history. It's a fight where if you watch it in real time, even as a fan, you think he's gone out, but you watch it back, you second guess it, especially because as soon as Herb waves the fight, Lawler's on his feet protesting what's going on. But if you watch it in real time, it's like his arm just drops for no reason, and Askren appears to have a bulldog choke on him. It's controversial, but it's not quite to the level of a guy got hit by 0 punches and was waved off.
You said Ben Askren. Immediately in my head, I remembered that spinning back fist, and then I remembered one of the fight night cards ended with a spinning back fist that missed and went into a choke. I think that was the Morono fight.
It was.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Now that I remember it. Thanks, Ben.
Ben Askren's spinning back fist is one of the greatest things of all time.
Yeah. When he was announced to be fighting Jake Paul, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Who is Ben Askren? And then that's what people showed me. It was like, this is him. I'm like, wow. This is what Jake Paul's gonna fight.
Look at the skill.
This man's going Beyblade.
He does look like a Beyblade. He does.
He really does. Let it rip. Let it fucking rip, Ben. Oh, goodness. So, any more shitty referee decisions? Not necessarily they stopped something early, but just shitty decisions overall before we move on to July 29th?
Nah, I don't think so.
Alright, well...
Oh my god. We get to talk about this, oh my god. I'm like a giddy kid.
It's Brock, isn't it?
He's not here, actually. He's nowhere near.
That's what I thought you were getting excited about.
Oh no, we gotta talk about 729.
Poirier Gaethje.
Oh.
Holy titty balls.
Oh, well, somebody made a good point about this. I don't know who I was watching. It was one of the YouTube channels. It's at Salt Lake City, which isn't that quite elevated?
Yes.
Yeah. A few times we've had fights here, it's been obvious that guys have gassed. The case that somebody made earlier was Leon Edwards versus Usman in the first title fight. Edwards basically did nothing for like the middle 3 rounds until he landed that head kick at the end. It was probably because he was gassed from the elevation. I mean,
that's
why are we
absolutely
going
going to
back
play
in?
a role.
That is actually a little bit of a sour taste. Why are they putting this card in Salt Lake City?
This is the best card
Who
of the
demanded
year,
this?
maybe. It's probably
Is Dana White just an asshole?
he is an asshole. That I mean that's confirmed.
The only upside is that a lot of these guys either have 1-round knockout power and are probably going to try and do that, and if they don't, they have like stellar cardio, like Justin Gaethje and Dustin and Tony Ferguson.
Oh, Ferguson's finished though. Do you know what? I've just looked down the card, and my favourite UFC fighter is fighting Derek Lewis. Oh, my
I
God.
was just
Go.
fucking looking at him too. I was like,
Oh,
for some reason, my eyes were drawn to him when you said your favorite.
we're Ronda Rousey finances. He's hilarious. Even the Chiesa Holland fight, that's a good fight. Thompson Pereira will be good. Oh my God, it's that crazy Pereira. That's going to be an amazing fight. Costa is never in boring fights. I'm a bit
He's
sad
going to
about
get mauled by Ikram.
Oh, I hope not. You're probably right though.
Alex Pereira just lost to Adesanya, so he moves up, and he's the #1 contender.
Yeah, I don't know how that works,
What
but
the fuck? I can understand putting him in like the bottom of the top 10 or something, but
They'll retroactively justify this #1 ranking when he beats Jan.
oh right, they should have just
But-
put like a question mark in there. I'm like, this is the gauge. We're gonna see where he lands on the 1 to 15 spectrum. Is this a other Pereira guy? Are they related by chance?
Probably not. No, that other Pereira is. Do you know like Johnny Walker's insane? This Pereira's insane like that.
Oh shit. Okay, that's fun.
Yeah. He's on a 5-fight win streak, 10 wins by knockout, 7 by submission. He's that'll be an amazing. And Stephen Thompson is an amazing. That is going to be an unbelievable fight.
Man, that's really cool. Tony Ferguson, I know that name.
He's
Tony.
so washed. He's so
Yeah.
Oh.
When I think I already mentioned this, but the other day when we were talking about Holloway, I was thinking of Tony Ferguson. All MMA
thankfully-
fighters look alike to me.
Thankfully, he's fighting Bobby Green. Bobby's like on his way out too.
Oh, okay,
So
that's not so bad.
He could knock
but-
Ferguson out though.
he's still right. He still absolutely could starch Ferguson. So this could be a very sad fight. But
Kevin Holland,
we'll
I
see.
think I know that name too.
He's a bit of like
he fights like every other fight card nowadays.
Cool.
Yeah, he's a bit funny as well. Like he's got a bit about him. Like he talk on the mic and things like that.
Well, I'm riding for Gaethje. I have to. It's an Arizona thing, I guess. But that's a pretty stacked card. Like even
That's
I can
amazing.
see that.
It's so rare to see like all 7 fights. Like these are all banger fights. Like these are all
Oh, yeah.
great. Like you
Yeah.
could see these on individually on different cards and say, oh, I need to circle that one. That one's going to be good. And every single one of them is like, yeah, we got to watch this.
I just pray nobody gets injured and drops out or replaced. Please, MMA gods.
I think on the other side of the aisle, Spence Crawford, the undisputed welterweight fight in boxing, is also
Yes.
official. So that's a major weekend. And just a few days before, like we mentioned, Stephen Fulton versus Naoya Inoue.
I can't believe I'm going to say this on this podcast, but I'm probably more excited for Spence Crawford than I am the UFC card.
I definitely am, but I mean that reasoning is obvious.
I think we're all in
Right.
agreement here. I mean, that's a super fight.
That's a
to end all
super fight.
super fights in boxing. That is
Yeah.
the fight in boxing.
Yeah.
And it's been, 4 years brewing now?
Yeah, at least.
Undisputed.
At
In
welterweight.
arguably the most stacked division, and Crawford's been undisputed at the weight below. Man,
And-
whoever wins, what a win it's going to be on their resume.
And you also have to, I think, be a little grateful here that it's happening when both guys are still in their prime. Like, this would be better if this happened last November, but both guys are still at their peak.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Absolutely phenomenal fight here. I'm glad that this is the year I decided to start watching MMA finally, after my my brother-in-law pestering me for ages, and my sister too. Like, they're like, "Hey, are you watching the UFC card?" What the fuck? Why would I watch that shit? What have I been missing? Oh my goodness!
Thank God for your brother-in-law.
Yeah. Let's see. I think that's it for this block.
Wow, we've gone mad today with the time, haven't we?
Yeah. We made pretty good time here. I'll be able to shave off a little bit for like gaps and stuff. I cut out the plugs because the outro voiceover that we got takes care of all that. So, gentlemen, parting words.
Fuck Tyson Fury.
Always.
I'd like to thank Al Heyman for making my hopes and dreams come true. And I'll give a begrudging thank you to Dana White for this card, because this is a special card coming up.
Yeah.
Hold on a
well
second.
well done to Spence and Crawford's camps for getting this fight made.
All right, so I wrote these for a different show that I was trying to get people to jump on. Never happened, but it doesn't matter. So this is a prayer to Al Heyman. All right. Al Heyman, who manages in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy promoters come, thy promotions done on Showtime as they are on Fox. Give us this day our daily prelims, and forgive us our media outbursts, as we forgive them that make social posts against us. Lead us not into interim titles, but deliver us to championships. For thine is the elite stable, the premier, the boxing, the champions, forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Hey, man.
Hey, man. Yeah, that's fucking right. All right.